Did Jesus rise from the dead? Yeah. Oh, you want more? Fair enough. This question of did Jesus rise from the dead is probably the question. It's the key question when looking into who Jesus was and what Christianity is. Where you come down, where your answer lands on this one will take you in two very different directions. So let's talk about the proof. Firstly, let's talk about the testimony and the life of the disciples. So the story is, and this is historical fact, that Jesus is born, Jewish man, first century Judea, lives his life and works for 30 years, then takes up a public ministry for 3.5 years. He teaches, he gathers disciples, he performs miracles, he gets into some trouble with the leaders who eventually have him crucified under the Roman governor. And he's dead. And he's put in a tomb. And a stone is rolled over. And the Roman authorities were so nervous about something happening to his body, they put an encampment of guards around him. So Fort Knox, you can't get in there. But the account says 3 days later, Jesus comes back from the dead. He's seen by numerous people, over 500 people. But we weren't there, we can't see that. But if you look at the evidence, we have a group of disciples who followed Jesus during his life. And then they begin to spread the story, or for them, the personal experience of, I've met Jesus, he is alive again. And you can just say, well, they just made that up. You know what I mean? These people just made it up to make some money and stuff. They didn't make no money. Just to get popular and stay in the kind of cultural zeitgeist. That's why they said it. No, they didn't do that. Because the life of the disciples after Jesus' resurrection does not go well. These people are hounded and persecuted. They are put to death. They're sawn in half. They're killed with arrows. They're thrown to lions. Now, when we lie as people, as humans, let's face it, we lie to profit ourselves, or we lie to avoid shame. We hate shame. We hate losing things, so we lie. That's what we do. Think about it. That's why you lie. That's why I lie. But if they lied, then they lied and all they got out of it was trouble, persecution, and death. That don't add up. That's not how people work. If you're lying about something and you get caught and it starts to work out worse for you, you generally fess up. That's what happens. But they didn't do it. They didn't fess up. They stuck with it and they suffered and they died for it. And their testimony from the moment of the resurrection all the way through to their painful death, their testimony remained true. That they followed the risen King, the risen Jesus. That's what they said. So the first one, the proof of the life and testimony of Jesus. Secondly, and this is just key really, the missing body of Jesus. So as I told you, the Romans were so paranoid that this guy would survive, they put an encampment of soldiers around his grave. And we're supposed to believe that some Jewish zealots, some peasants came in and overpowered them, or rather the account is, did it without them seeing. Now you've got to understand, Jesus had a lot of enemies. The religious leaders of the day, the full might of the Roman army. There were so many people who were going to lose if this account of Jesus was spread wide. Why didn't they find the body? Why did no one ever produce the body? Why to this day is there no place where they go, here's the bones of Jesus? That's strange, right? Why has no one ever produced it? In that time or since? Third thing, did Jesus rise from the dead? For me personally, I have to ask myself the question, if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, how come I, when I was 16, gave my life to Jesus? Not some moral framework, but the sense of a person who was answering my prayers, the sense of a person with me in my life. How did I and millions upon millions of people since the time of Jesus put their faith in him? I didn't put my faith in other things that are dead and gone because they were dead and gone. I mean, I have opinions and I've learnt stuff I've gone along, but this is the only thing in my life where I've gone, this is real. It's as real as this table. So these are the things to consider. Well, in the first instance, about the resurrection of Jesus. What do you do about what the disciples did when they lived the rest of their lives, some have very short and painful lives, holding this as truth? What do you do with the missing body? Why did no one produce it? Why did the Romans allow the story to circulate, knowing the shame it would bring? Why did the Jewish? Because they couldn't, because Jesus appeared to 500 people. Missing body. And thirdly, what do you do with the fact that so many people over so many centuries now have given their lives to a Jesus that they met in their time? What you do with the question of did Jesus rise from the dead is so key. It's everything. It says in the scriptures, very honestly, in the New Testament, it says, if there is no resurrection, we have no faith. If there is no resurrection, then we should be the most despised characters on the earth. Where I've come to land is there was a resurrection because I've met him. Where you stand, you're going to have to find your way there. There are other videos on the channel that might help you get there. Please dig in and have a look. Bless you. See you next time. Laters.